If you love history, traditional arts and skills, and vintage living as much as I do, come join me here at the Homestead, where the conversations are always interesting and educational. I'm glad you're here. Hello and welcome to Willow's Vintage Homestead, where we talk about all manner of old-timey topics. I'm your host, Willow Polson, and with me today is Cheryl Berg, and we're going to have a lovely conversation. There's a lot of things that I am eager to talk with Cheryl about, including something called hugelkultur, and she's also a master food preserver. Now, everybody's probably heard of master gardeners, but master food preserver, is that a newish thing? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so the program's been around a little while. Both Master Gardeners and Master Food Preservers are under the umbrella of the University of California. And so Master Food Preservers is a newer program to Mariposa County than the Master Gardener one.
Yeah, I actually took a Master Gardener course back in, oh gosh, Santa Cruz, I think it was. So this would have been 35 years ago. But yeah, and I hadn't heard of Master Food Preserver. I actually would love to do that, I think. Where can people take this if they were so interested? Now, remember, this goes around to the world, so it's not just limited to Mariposa County.
Yeah, good point. I mean, I don't know if the program extends beyond the US, but in the US, folks can reach out to their local master food preserver organization. Ours happens to be tied in pretty tightly with Master Gardeners. And here in Mariposa County, we offer the programs for training on alternate years. So this coming year in 2026, we're offering the Master Gardener training, and actually applications are being accepted now through, I think, the end of October. As far as Master Food Preservers, that will be offered in 2027,
Oh,
and
wow.
there will be more information offered. We use social media, flyers. We really do try to get the word out. We use the local radio station as
Yep.
well to let people know when that program is being offered. The focus of Master Food Preservers really is food safety and to be able to preserve food in a way that reduces the possibility of exposure to those bad bacterias and things that can make you sick.
Right, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay. So it's
yeah.
not just make the best jam you can. Be as safe as you can while making amazing jam.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a way to reduce food waste, right? So if you've got
Yeah.
things in the refrigerator or whatever, and for whatever reason you know you're not going to be able to use them, well, there's a pretty good possibility that those items can be preserved and so saved in a safe manner so that when you are ready to use them, you can do that. And as you mentioned,
Ah,
jams is one great way because right now we have a lot of things coming in to the
yep.
fall season, right?
Yep, yep, yep.
And so I know for me personally, we have a small hobby farm here. And when things come in, they come in abundance. It's just
Yeah.
overwhelming. There's just no
Right.
way you could eat it 3 times a day.
Right, right. You
So
turn the faucet has been turned on the zucchini plant, and but then when it's off, it's off, and then you don't have any, eggs or zucchini or whatever it is. So it's good to have that through the winter, especially when there's just kind of nothing, and you want to have your Christmas dinner, and oh no, how do you preserve eggs, for example?
yeah, great point.
Yeah, so that seems like something anybody can do, really. I mean, I imagine it extends beyond. See, I was just thinking preserves, but it sounds like it's any kind of, what freezing and there's vacuum packed stuff and all that.
Yeah, dehydrating. One of the things folks will learn is how to can meats like chicken.
Hmm.
And, I was a little cynical about canning meat at first, but oh my gosh, the chicken, when you're ready to use it and you open it up, it is so moist and fresh. And
Mm.
it's so easy. You just throw it into whatever dish you're making, and it's great. And, I have been preserving food for over 40 years,
Oh wow.
and I just became a master food preserver a couple years ago. And at first I was like, well, why, I'm doing this. I know what I'm doing, but the science has changed, the safety has changed, and things
Ah,
that I was doing was like, yeah, that's not safe anymore to do it that
oh,
way.
gotcha.
So I was like, wow, okay. So you can teach an old dog new tricks.
That's great. Well, that's yeah. See, that's really of interest. But again, obviously, for it right now in these times, as they say, that to be as frugal and smart as you can about all that. I mean, that's the biggest waste in a household, really, is the produce drawer. So,
Yeah, so true.
and I got to get a dehydrator. I had one. It was a good one. It was kind of small. Things occurred, and now I don't have it, and I need to get another dehydrator. Ah,
Yeah, yeah. I put my dehydrator about a month ago in the donation pile, and then the tomatoes came in, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love sun-dried, and I'm
yeah.
doing air quotes here, cherry tomatoes, and I pulled it out of the donation pile, and it's been going like
Nice.
crazy because I was like, yeah, I want to dehydrate some more. So I've been
Right.
dehydrating figs and
Ooh.
sun-dried tomatoes and other things that we produce here. And I was like, okay, this is something I need to keep.
Well, and it looks like we're gonna have another good acorn year, and I collected those last year when we had a good mast year for acorns, and a mast year is when you get a huge bounty. And it looks like we got another good year. So, what do you do with nuts? I mean, I've had some walnuts just sitting around in my house for like 2 years, and I just haven't got around to cracking them open, but they seem okay. How long can those things
Yeah.
last in the shell?
Gosh, that's a great question. I know that the older walnuts get, the more bitter the
Oh.
flavor becomes.
Ooh.
So
Well,
yeah,
might be
you
chicken
might
food
want to
now then.
crack some open and just try them just
Yeah.
to see if they're still worthwhile. But I know personally, I get walnuts from a farm down in the valley,
Mhm.
and oh, they are just fantastic fresh.
Mm, yeah.
And the ones I can't use, they're vacuum sealed, and I put those in the freezer until I'm ready to use them.
Okay. You must have like a big chest freezer or something then?
Yeah, we have a big upright freezer that's almost full right now of
Oh, yeah. It
meat and produce
Gotcha.
that I
Gotcha.
didn't want to can right now. I just froze it.
Mhm.
And so now that the weather's getting cooler, I'll start to can in the kitchen, but I just didn't want to
Yeah.
heat up my kitchen in the
Oh,
summertime,
right. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
whole thing. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, my sourdough is mad at me in the refrigerator because I've just been sitting in the fridge too long. I need to feed it because, like, yeah, it's just been stinking hot. But this morning, I actually like put blankets on the bed and such.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
it's been lovely. It's been just lovely. But walnuts, see now I was thinking this is gonna air after Coyote Fest. Ha ha ha. But there's the all the black walnuts down in the park in Coulterville. I just got a nut grabber and I'm gonna go down and scoop those up and nobody's gonna know until after the fact. But
Oh,
the
good for
husks,
you.
yeah, the husks I'm going to use for dyeing because they make a nice black, especially when you mix them with iron water, which I have a lot of because well water. Yeah, I get to dye things black and probably also my hands. But then, yeah, so there's kind of city foraging and I mentioned acorns earlier. There's also the wild foraging. I need to get out there and see if there's any grapes left. I was going to make wild wine because grapes just naturally have yeast on the surface of the grape. So I was just going to
Yeah.
smash them up and see if I could make myself some wild wine here. So.
Wow, I am definitely interested in that. We have a very small vineyard here, and so this year we had a nice harvest of Pinot Noir grapes
Oh wow.
and yeah, and Sauvignon Blanc
Hmm.
grapes, and I was just reading up on what to do with them,
Hmm.
and I was like, this is so complicated,
Right.
but
I
yeah.
make I make closet mead. I make absolute just garbage mead. I just I just take yeast and honey and water and throw it in a carboy with a valve on it and then put it in the bottom of my closet and forget it for a month, and then I have a lovely mead.
I love that. I love that, you know, kind of somewhat low tech
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
approach to
exactly.
things. And it's if it's for your just your own personal
Yeah,
consumption or your
yeah,
family's, like who cares, right? How you get there.
exactly. Right, I'm not renting a whatever, not a brewery, but what is it? A meadery, I guess, and, I'm
Yes.
very I have a very small house. I don't have room for a lot of stuff and, gadgets, like, I gotta get it dehydrated. Where am I gonna put it? I have no idea. It's like an 800 square foot house. It's crammed full of wool and everything else. So,
Oh
but,
gosh.
yeah, yeah, it's a thing. But foraging, yeah, because I know that you wanted so you could actually, I'm usually the one asking questions. You can ask me questions. Hey, fun.
I love that. Yeah, I'm so curious about foraging. One of my focus this past couple of years has been mushroom, and really, quite frankly, nervous about it.
Oh,
But I am 99.9% positive that the last two winters we had a little patch of morel mushrooms.
oh,
And, you know,
yeah. There's
I've
nothing
looked it
else that
up
looks
and
like
I
those.
was
Yeah,
yeah, there's like nothing else that I could find that looks close like that kill you. So I think if they pop up this year, I might get brave and harvest them and see what we can do. Maybe just try
yeah.
a little bit of it and see what happens.
Right, right. That's probably how our foreparents did this. It's like, can I eat it? Will it kill me? Let's try it, and some people didn't survive the process, but you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
who was the first person to try, lick that thing over there? Is it safe? That's really where you start. You just kind of put it on your skin. And if you don't get a reaction, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna
Oh,
rub it on my skin. And if you don't get a reaction, then I'm gonna lick it, and it's just kind of continue the process instead of just like, I'm just gonna chow down on this thing. Just do it in bits. But I'm actually allergic to mushrooms, so I don't forage mushrooms. So
okay.
you're actually the wrong person about mushrooms, but everything else,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, I forage for basket materials, like I said, acorns, and I got a great bunch of blackberries recently that I have in the freezer, the juice of that I'm going to make something with, and I might make mead. I don't know. But there's a lot of
Yeah.
foods out here that people don't even know are foods, and of course, you can look to native wisdom. They've been here 20,000 years. They they know what they're doing, so you can look at that and say, okay, well, can I eat the inner bark of this tree? Maybe. So
Yeah, I just learned from someone here in our region in elevation, we have these shrubs called manzanitas.
yep.
And in the springtime, I've harvested the little tiny sticky berries and I've made a jelly from.
Hmm.
But I thought after they ripen, because they get really dry and very
Yeah.
astringent, that they're not edible. And I recently learned from someone that, oh no, they are edible. In
Oh yeah.
fact, that's really a good like digestive for you. I haven't tried it yet because I feel like it's so saliva sucking
Yeah.
that
Well,
I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure.
what they would do here is that they would crush them up a little bit in a basket that was porous, not like a cooking basket that holds water, but the water
Mhm.
that runs through. And then you just pour water over the berries to kind of strain them. So I imagine you could make like a tea or something, but they're high in vitamin
Oh.
C and yeah, they're quite healthful and very delicious. I do love that cider, and that reminds me I got to make that. So yeah, I didn't even know. So you're getting the berries in the spring, like the green ones?
No, just as they're starting to turn red.
Ah,
So I taste them as they're ripening,
mm,
and they get to a point where they have a nice crisp texture, and they're moving more towards that apple-like
yeah,
flavor.
right.
And that's when I pick them. But it is a labor of love for sure
Yeah.
because they're just so sticky. They stick to
Yeah.
everything. You can't beat the flavor. I mean, once the jelly's
Mhm.
made, it's delicious.
Yeah, I've seen people make, jelly from the flowers too.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, it looks like it's strained. I mean, it's a very clear jelly, so they must be like cooking and straining out the flowers after they cook it. I don't know. I haven't made it.
Yeah. Well, that's essentially what you do with the when you make the jelly too. You're
Mm.
straining out the bits
Right,
of
the
the
bits, yeah.
actual fruit.
'Cause they have
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
seeds in there, and that's why they're called manzanitas, the little apples. So
Yes.
they
Yes.
get their name. Yeah,
See.
it's everywhere. Yes, yeah, see? It's everywhere. I often have to just, like, go around and just constantly, it's like pushing back the ocean with a broom with the manzanita. It's everywhere. Um,
Yes.
I have heard
Yes.
that the bark, that curly bark that is so fun to, like, strip off the the branches, you know what I'm talking about, right? It gets curly,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you run your
Uh-huh.
hand over it. It's very satisfying. I've heard that
It
that
is.
that can make a dye. I haven't tried it yet because there's just so much out there, right? That's the world is. I'm looking out my window and I just see so many possibilities for dyes and foods and firewood and structures, and it's just the world is a cornucopia, and people don't realize what you can do with all of this out there.
Yeah, I mean, in the springtime, I started harvesting the miner's lettuce and,
Yeah,
make a salad out of that. It's delicious and it's free.
yeah,
And I love that. I love working with nature, which has been sort of how we've developed our farm out,
yes,
is to work with nature, to work with the landscape that we've been given. We have a
yes,
very hilly property.
yeah,
And
same.
so we're not going to be getting the tractor out and cultivating
Right,
soil, right?
right.
And planting. It really has to be really thoughtful. So I know just we might be segueing here, but
Yeah,
one of the
yeah, no,
things that we developed was the use of hugelkultur, as you mentioned, I think
yes.
at the beginning of the
I did.
show.
Yes, that is so interesting to me. Because what if I got a lot of pine logs, and that sounds absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it's so great. And, although we have done it on a larger scale, I have friends and fellow master gardeners who have taken it and when they're doing like container planting, like in stock tanks or whatever,
Right, right.
they've kind of taken that same approach and have done the layering that is done in the traditional method.
So walk through what is that exactly?
Hugelkultur is German and it essentially means like mound bed or mound culture. What you can do if you're building it on like soil, we dug a trench and it can be as deep or wide as you want it to be. And then we took, as you mentioned, old logs that we had, large branches, and you're just building this mound. You start with like wood and sticks and
Mhm,
then you can add leaves on that or turf maybe if you've like dug up, if you've got a bunch of weeds on the soil where you're building this, you can take
mhm.
that, flip it upside down and add it.
Ah.
You add compost on top of that.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
then on the very top, you're adding like a layer of garden soil or mulch to it. So it
Ah.
looks like a long mound. And the purpose of doing this is that as things decompose, it not only is providing nutrients to whatever you plant on top of those mounds, but also as the wood breaks down, it acts as a sponge and it holds the moisture longer. So where we live here in the foothills in California, we don't get rain for a number of months, right?
Right,
And
right.
so it's really nice. It delays having to start the irrigation because
Mhm.
those mounds stay moist for so long. And because there's like gaps in the mound itself because of those sticks and everything that you added. It's essentially the same as what would happen if you were tilling soil.
Okay.
Although that's a whole other topic of
Yeah,
discussion. As far as
right.
when you till the soil, you're destroying a lot of microbes and
Okay.
things in the soil. So it's really not a great method to use,
Huh.
but My point is, with those little gaps, it allows these microbes and bugs that are going to be eating compost and the wood as it breaks down.
Right,
So
right.
it's just a really a beneficial system.
Well, okay, so what would you plant in one of these mounds? Like, could you do carrots or would it have to be like tomatoes or
It can be anything you want. Ours, we have an orchard, and all of the orchard trees are on top of hugels. And so when the
Ah,
trees were smaller, we would put also like tomato plants or, whatever other
yeah.
vegetables, because we didn't have, at that time, we didn't have really other gardens for
Mhm.
growing food and herbs and that kind of thing. So, but now that the trees are bigger, we're less inclined to plant anything on those mounds. And
On
you can
those,
start to
right.
see like some of the original mounds, they were from the ground, they were easily 4 to 5 feet high,
Oh, good Lord, 5
and
feet high,
na
really?
yeah, and now they're maybe 3 feet high. You can see that, everything is starting to settle down as it breaks
Right.
down
I was
as
gonna
well.
ask you how tall you wanna make those things, but
Y
so if I'm
Yeah.
5'2", which I am, then how high am I gonna wanna make these things to so that it's not like I'm climbing up on top of my garden?
You build it to whatever works for you. And as I
Mm,
said, in container gardens, it's the same theory you apply to that, where I use a lot of stock tanks
yeah.
because we were having such a time with like gophers and
Oh,
and
same.
coming
Ugh,
up, right, and
yes.
eating the roots, and it was just so disheartening to see a plant disappear in the
Mhm.
ground. You see it
Ah, it's the
wobbling and
worst.
then it disappears, and it's
Zick,
like, are you
just like
kidding me?
in a cartoon. It's startling. It's like, that's really what it looks like. Oh, no.
It's so true. And so I did that in our stock tanks where I took sticks and small branches, and then so the bottom third of the stock tank was essentially all of these organic materials before I added the soil. I would take my compost, throw it in there,
Mhm.
yard waste would go in
Right.
there. Yeah, it's a great way to use what you have around
Yeah.
here.
That's so
And
important. Like you said earlier, being in partnership with nature and with the land. You're not here to conquer and be, the the top of the pyramid. I mean, you're somewhere in really in the middle of the pyramid where you're trying to have that smart partnerships. You're not just swimming upstream all the time. You know what I mean?
exactly. And then, making your animals work for you, or making nature work for you
Yeah.
as well. Although somebody recently asked me, like, how do you prevent the birds from like destroying your fruit on your fruit trees and
Uh,
stuff? And I say, you know what? I plan on like 20 to 25% of what we produce to go back to nature. So if you have that mindset that you are going to lose a little bit
mhm.
in this whole thing, but ultimately you'll gain like 70, 75%
Right.
of what you grew, well, for me, that's a win.
Well, I wish that was the case with my pomegranate tree, because something, I assume it was birds, ate all the flowers. I had so many
Oh,
flowers. I was so thrilled, and I now have one pomegranate left
oh
because
no.
they ate all the flowers.
Oh, that
Oh
is so
no,
disheartening.
it is. I'm like, what is happening? I put a camera, didn't catch anything. I don't know. Anyway, so now you mentioned there was something. Oh, I can't remember the name. It had a Japanese name. That was another type of thing that you did there. What is it?
Yeah, so it's a version of composting. It's called bokashi.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a little bit different than like the traditional composting, where you either have a bin that you use and you flip the materials around or mix the materials around, or you have
Yep.
like a 3 bin system where again you're building your compost, and then you flip it to the next bin, and you flip, and you add water
Yeah.
and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
The cool thing about bokashi is it's all done in a bucket. So if you can envision like a 10-gallon plastic bucket,
Okay.
right? Ideally, you would have like a spigot near the bottom of the
M'kay.
bucket, because as the materials start to decompose, you get liquid, and you can actually spigot off that liquid and
Mhm.
use it as a fertilizer if you dilute it.
Okay, if
But
you dilute it, okay.
yeah, it's too strong to put on plants. You would burn your plants.
Oh,
So
gee, okay, huh,
the
it's that
yeah, and the
concentrated, wow.
it's very so bokashi doesn't matter what kind of food scraps you put in there. In fact, you can even put meat in there.
Huh,
And what you do is you layer, so you add a layer of food scraps, and then you add this special bokashi bran that you sprinkle on,
oh, okay.
and it has bacteria, good bacteria that will help break down the materials. And so over time, you end up with this beautiful, moist version of compost. What I do though is I use it to sort of advance my composting system. So once the bokashi materials, I fill the bucket, I let it sit for a few weeks, and then I add it to my compost. I usually build my compost all at once, my pile, and
Hmm,
so I'll be layering it with the bokashi and brown material, and it gives you a really nice finished product
huh.
as well.
I've heard in the past something called compost tea. Is that similar with the liquid?
Yeah, it would be. Although this is much more potent than
Okay.
compost. Compost tea, you normally take like a finished compost and you
Yeah.
add it to a bucket of water, you
Oh,
mix it
gotcha.
in, and I believe you have to aerate that. And
Yeah.
over time, then you can use that. You would filter out just the colored water, and you
Oh,
could
wow.
use that as tea. With
So
the
it really is like
bokashi
tea.
liquid, yeah, exactly. With the bokashi liquid, you would need to dilute it 1 part per 100 parts of
Oh,
water.
oh, wow.
So you
Okay.
really don't need a lot. But then again, 1 bucket doesn't really produce a lot unless you're putting a lot of watery produce in there,
Tomatoes or
like,
something. Yeah.
yeah, tomatoes or oranges or what
Right.
have you.
Oranges. Right, right.
But if you're adding other things like, used lettuce or what have you, it's a little bit drier.
Gotcha.
So.
Whereabouts are you? I mean, at what elevation? I'm at 3250, so we get a little bit of snow
Okay.
here.
Yeah, we are just a little bit above 3,000 feet.
Okay.
So we also
About the
get
same.
a little bit of snow. Yeah, I love it. Winters are just perfect up here. I actually grew up in Ontario, Canada. And
Oh, okay.
so you're talking like 6 months of winter,
Oh, no.
which
No, thank you.
I was not a fan of,
Yeah,
but
that's right. Exactly.
I love the mild winters, and you can
Yeah.
still enjoy winter. You can go skiing and ice skating and all of that good stuff,
Right.
but you're not dealing with that pile of snow and those gray, gloomy days.
Forever. Oh, man. Yeah. I'm just curious about what kind of, you said you mentioned you have animals. I mean, give us a quick little overview of your homestead over there.
Sure. We have kuna pigs, and we have a plethora of chickens as well.
Yay, chickens.
Egg-laying chickens, right?
Hmm.
And those are our primary animals. And as I mentioned earlier, we make them all work. So our pigs are really great at cleaning up all the acorns on the
Mm.
property in the fall.
Hmm.
And then, hopefully
You
this doesn't
gotta,
offend anyone, but in the springtime when we harvest them, it really makes their meat so much sweeter and flavorful.
interesting.
So,
Well,
yeah,
I'm
and then we have,
personally vegetarian myself, but I know that most people listening to this are not. So, this is a show for everybody. So,
yeah,
but as
yeah,
for me,
just
I
when,
would harvest the acorns and eat those instead. But, we all do things differently.
yeah, and our chickens are great at they run through they have access to the orchards, so they are eating bugs, and
Hmm.
they're, digging up the dirt a little bit. So it's really great. And then of course with their manure, they're
Hmm.
fertilizing as well. And then we have
Yep.
3 guardian dogs because we have had an issue with bears in the past.
Ah, yeah.
And this was the best way to protect our animals,
Yeah.
but also respect the wildlife as well.
Yeah.
So Nobody's bugging anybody or getting into trouble. So yeah,
All right. Well, it sounds like you got a great place over there. Maybe I'll come visit sometime. I'd like that.
I would love that.
All right. Well, thanks very much. It's been a quick half hour. There's been a lot of really great information, fun conversation.
Thank you so much for your time, for allowing me to share a little bit of information that I have, and I look forward to learning more from your program.
Oh, great. Well, we'll see you again next time, and you as well, Cheryl, on the Willow's Vintage Homestead. Thanks, everybody.